All right, let's talk about safety. And there are a couple of things like this is like, please watch the safety video. We'll include a thing like somewhere being like, don't fucking go any further without watching the safety video. If you're gonna injure somebody with anything in leg locking, you're gonna injure them with this. There are two concerns. One is just the initial braking position, which is like, there are two ways you're gonna get a Woj lock, which is you're gonna get this grip and then you're gonna fire your legs into the position, kind of like the reverse flow. And then there's gonna be like, you're already in 50-50, they go to hide their heel and you just put them in it. This is fairly safe because if we start in 50-50, the leg entanglement is already on, there's already some pressure. As they do that, and we get to here, and then we'll talk about that entry in more detail, you can feel like it comes on right away. There's not a lot of like leeway for him. He feels it right away, he taps. But if I'm here, and I'm just gonna leave Rory's toes out of this when I demonstrate this, because this is how it can go wrong. I can have this grip, and we can be battling, and maybe he's fighting, and then my leg breaks through, and I go, wham! And you can see how much his foot just rotated. Now, what if it was stuck in my armpit when I did that? So for safety, one thing you don't ever want to do is take your foot across and like stomp into their knee. What we want, and I'll do it more like the appropriate way, is I'll get my leg, I'll make sure that I'm never simultaneously turning onto my hip and driving my thigh into his knee with any like ballistic intent. What I'll always be doing is I'll be sticking my leg through so that, let's say my shin is on him, and then slowly, like I'm turning a key, I'm gonna turn his knee out, right? It's never wham, like that. Just whatever you do, don't do that. They literally will have no chance.
It's an interesting distinction when we have these locks where it goes across the body, but then you're attacking with an opposite of like going for the inversion rather than the eversion. The Aoki lock kind of has it too, but it's very difficult with the knee position because that external rotation.
It's so much harder to stop someone from turning with the Aoki lock.
Because if Rob attacks, say, a heel hook right now,
yeah,
as he applies it, my knee wants to dip that way.
So I just have to stop it.
Yeah, so even if he violently ripped and threw this leg over, it all kind of assists me going in the same direction. It's really important that he wedges
It's
here.
the same thing with a reap, right? Like if I were to have an outside heel hook on Rory, I'm sending him in the direction that he needs to go to absorb the pressure. My initial, like the reaping motion, the leg wedge is taking him in a direction that his leg wants to go to bleed the pressure.
I hurt myself by being an idiot and fighting you, so it's not really your fault.
Exactly. The reason that the heel hook works in this circumstance is I'm forcing the leg to bend, then I'm stopping it.
Yes.
So I'm making the tibia rotate, but the knee can't go in the other direction. If I had this and I was somehow firing the leg hard the other way, and which is where like some outside ashy situations, like you'll be here and you'll switch to outside ashy.
And it can hit quick.
Which can hit really quick. But it's still not the same.
Because my knee is so tight to your hip that you don't really have access to a lever.
Exactly. Whereas with this, we're rotating this so hard. Like you can see, I mean, his foot literally just went a full 180 degrees from where it was. That's why it's so dangerous. We can very suddenly, by applying force to the knee that way, spin someone's foot in a direction 180 degrees while it's trapped in our armpit. So that's like safety super duper protocol number one is never ever rotate the knee out hard. Very gradual turning, like start with your leg open. When I say open, I mean external hip rotation, and close it, by which I mean bring it into neutral or internal hip rotation. That will, like, that braking mechanic is what you want to keep your training partner safe.
Both parties understand that really helps, like, the safety part, because, like, I know for myself too, it's like when we're talking about some of these battles, like this holding the foot out here.
Yeah,
I'm a lot more nervous in this
than you are in a heel hook.
As you're trying to like pummel this leg, if you actually pummel it and then fire it across, all of a sudden my foot could possibly explode if you kick that over too aggressively.
Yeah.
So for my defense, I also have to be very cautious with that and be like, okay, I'm gonna be ready to tap, or like have some different checks in place that if I lose control of that leg, I might just tap before this fucking thing flies across.
Yeah, so that's like safety protocol 1 is just how we approach the braking process when our leg is across. Safety protocol 2 is dealing with the roll. So when we say dealing with the roll, we'll talk about this from like the offensive side a little bit later on. But yeah. So what'll happen is we know that when we get this, I would like to do this, But usually our partner is going to turn and we're going to chase them. And then when we do, we come out of the roll with like a really strong finishing position.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that roll later on. But when that occurs, when you go through that roll, know as the person receiving the technique that you get one roll. It's not like a heel hook where you can roll and eventually get out. You get one roll, and as you come out of the roll, if the roll is done correctly, the braking mechanics are going to come on super hard. So if you keep turning, you're fucked. If you try to turn back the other way, you're also fucked because the other person's going to be pushing your knee in the opposite direction. So if you go one way, you rotate your own foot. If you go the other way, you rotate against your own knee. You're basically stuck. Just tap. Don't fuck around.
For me, like, I'm obviously we're in early stages of developing defense, but I'm like, if you have to actually go through one roll, you're fucked. I basically roll down to a sprinter stance to start trying to extract my leg. And if you can continue that roll one more, I'm just like, I am done as soon as my hip
hits the ground. Yeah. So what happened with us at the gym, one of our guys, he turned and then tried to turn hard the other way, and I tried to let go and I couldn't, and he ate a pop. So third safety protocol, letting go. When I have somebody in a heel hook, letting go is fairly simple, right? Like if I go like this and I feel I'm gonna tweak someone, I just let go, right? So whatever leg entanglement I have on him, if I just relieve the pressure here of the like the wrists against his tibia and his heel, he's good. His leg is free. So whatever I'm doing to his knee, because his foot is relatively unencumbered, it's okay. Problem with the Wojcik is
a little more involved with the grip.
If I go to let go, his foot is still stuck. So if I just release the remaining, like the top hand, the support hand, if I just release that, it has no effect whatsoever. So the safety protocol that we have is if I feel that something's gonna happen, is I straighten my arms out. So it's not let go, it's let go. And this feels awkward. This is something that we have people practice, where so like if you bend your leg a little bit, and I'm here, and I'm like, ooh, I don't like this. It's like pulling like a reserve shoot kind of thing, where we're pulling down like that. We're not just trying to like release up as we're used to with heel hooks, where we can just explosively release. So that's something that if you feel like you need to suddenly let go because your partner is violently rotating against their own, safety, it's just drop your hands down rather than try to.
That's a good thing that like you talk about, like actually practicing it, because
you have to.
We're so used to just like in any kind of like surrendering or trying to absolve ourselves of blame. It's like you raise your hands to show you it's like I got nothing to hide. So it's like you just go like this to a ref.
That's literally that's what happened in the roll where we rolled through. He went to spin back. I was like, oh, and then he just heard a pop. I was like, fuck. Like my arm was just stuck. I just hadn't had the practice. Like I did let go, I just couldn't. The arm was stuck. So this is just an extra thing that you're gonna have to do. And this is something like, if you wanna be good at this and you want to have training partners that will let you work on this, you do have to practice this safety stuff, because like I said, I'm a fairly conscientious training partner. I'm a conscientious competitor. I don't want to hurt anybody. So I'm very accustomed to people doing wacky crap and letting go. And in this circumstance that happened at our club, that really had nothing to do with it. Like there wasn't any ill intent. The guy wasn't even being super stupid. It's just, this is a new move. He's used to spinning one way or the other with heel hooks and being okay. And that just wasn't the case. So if you want to get to the point where you're familiar with this, you can't have people eating pops every week or so because they spin the wrong way. So just be aware of that. And then again, like we'll talk about actual defense and stuff like that later on, and keeping yourself safe. But these are just safety things that we want you to know before you even get into the development phase of this. And keep yourself and your training partner safe at all times.